Hello, and welcome to this brand new outcrop of outtakes, all of them demonstrating what I once saw a management training manual describe as unplanned deviations from criteria-based standards of competence, or what we rank and file call cock-ups. Anyway, this sort of thing.
Davy Jones. Davy Jones, how are you? Oh!
Perhaps motorists should think of another way to get around town. Patricia?
What better place for highway to visit, so near Hogmanay, than Scotland, and a very special part of Scotland, Falkland Palace. Once the hunting lodge of the Royal Stewards, and where Mary Queen of Scots, the patron saint of measles. Don't tell her.
Footballers were not always non-smokers. I could tell you of two who played for Newcastle United during those famous cup finals of the 1950s and were delighted to hear the referee's whistle at half-time so they could go in and light up in the Wembley dressing room. It is different now, of course. You never, ever see a professional smoker playing football.
The Druids began this tradition over 5... Oh, I just ripped my dress.
Well, that actually was an old Welsh air called Urbigail Moyn, which means, have you seen my dog do his impression of a toboggan? And our next batch of underachievers, the international selection, sets out to prove that cock-ups are what provide the world with its only truly universal language, something made immediately apparent in the first item, in which a high-up official in the Austrian equivalent of the Milk Marketing Board can be seen demonstrating how to use their newly introduced wax cardboard milk carton.
Können Sie eigentlich diese Packungen öffnen?
Na ja gut, wir werden es versuchen. Einmal zuerst bei diesem Verpackungstyp die Laschen aufziehen. Dann kommen hier einmal die Öffnungsanweisungen zum Vorschein. An und für sich ist die Packung perforiert. Es kann aber sein, dass dann das händische Öffnen nicht so leicht möglich ist. Sie sehen es auch hier. Mir gelingt es auch nicht, dann nimmt man am besten eine Schere.
Drauf. Bitte, wir haben sie vorbereitet.
Steht nichts drauf. Auf den meisten Packungen mit den moderneren Dekors haben sie also eine Schere. Die schneiden wir jetzt hier einmal auf. Am besten auf der zweiten Seite auch noch. So, machen wir es richtig gut. Dann müssen wir hier die Lasche vorziehen, möglichst einen schönen Schnabel bilden. Also das ist nicht schon abgeschnitten. Und jetzt werden wir es versuchen.
Welcome to the Ernest Thompson Seton Memorial Park in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, where history is being made before your very ears.
Se tivesse afiado no elevador, é elevador que não sobe porque o cara tá conversando com o pé na porta do elevador, assim. Você bota o pé na porta do elevador, entendeu?
Hier, hör auf, da fahrst du und da Auslandsplatz hoch. Hier, auf dem Kurzstück, also umlegen. Den hast du mal alles auf.
comparable de restaurants. Très récemment, la ville a reçu une exposition internationale de produits alimentaires, ce qui prouve sa capacité de pourvoir à toutes les éventuelles... Oh, I got a fright.
It's confirmation of that theory that in moments of stress, all foreigners revert to speaking English. Well, our next compilation begins with our first ever outtake from European satellite TV, that miraculous new system that allows you to make a mistake in 19 countries simultaneously. And its contribution is part of a group showing how just one word can sometimes throw TV personages off course. In the satellite lady's case, the name of a small Norwegian town spelt R-U-D-E.
Hello again. Before we continue our programmes this evening, we'd like to greet some new Norwegian viewers who are joining us tonight for the first time en route.
Whenever they start dumping their filth on this planet, they usually pick the places that are still filthy from the last industrial revelation. Silly old cow.
And if all that wasn't enough, I notice all the equipment that's behind you. You were telling me you also do newspapers and talking books for the deaf.
Yes, talking books for the blind. It's an outfit.
I would rather Mondale run it than Regan.
Why?
Well, Regan is a hard man to believe.
You think he's too old? Some people say he's too old.
Well, he might be sterile, but I wouldn't think that's his names of it. Hundreds of foreign students from Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong were coming to Ottawa for a free education at the expense of the Ottawa taxpayer. At that time, the chairman of the Ottawa Board of Education, Sinclair Abel, promised to do all he could to plug-hole this loophole.
What he meant, of course, was plug this loophole. I suppose it might have been loop this plug hole, but anyway. Have a look now at the American reporter who ran into the oddest of those verbal ambushes because of all the words to have difficulties with. His was the one that means to make things easy, facilitate.
Politicians want to look as official as possible during an election year. It helps them to keep their job. And the flood of the last several days has certainly facilitated. 3, 2, 1. And you're wiggling the camera. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Incumbent politicians want to look as official as possible during an election year. It helps them to keep their job, and the flood of the last several days has certainly facilitated. How are we doing on tape? I don't know. 3, 2, 1. Incumbent politicians want to look as official as possible during an election year. It helps them to keep their job, and the flood of the last several days has certainly facilitated. Hang on, stop. Facilitated that. Here, I'll hold it out here for you. Facilitated is the word, okay? This will help me to get it right. Thank you very much. Facilitated that. Just hold it right like that. That's fine. No, you can hold it just like that. Facilitated. Incumbent politicians want to look as official as possible during an election year. It helps them to keep their job, and the flood of the last several days has certainly facilitated. Incumbent politicians want to look as official as possible during an election year. It helps them to keep their job, and the flood of the last several days has certainly facilitated. 3, 2, 1. Incumbent politicians want to look as official as possible during an election year. It helps them to keep their job, and the flood of the last several days has certainly helped them out.
All up and down the country, people are saying to each other, facilitate, facilitate. Well, anyway, contrary to popular belief, most of the food on TV programs is the real thing. something not always true of the canteen. But because TV, eating and drinking have inspired some of our most satisfying outtakes, here's a small batch of what I suppose you could call cook-ups.
Look, as hard as it may be for some of you to swallow, there's really only one way you can lose weight. It's easy as pie. Oh, it's hot. It's hot.
We must hurry. We must get away before it's too late.
Don't give yourself indigestion, David.
I can't wait to be alone with you, Linda. Linda, we must hurry. We must get away before it's too late.
Don't give yourself indigestion.
Oh, I can't wait to be alone with you, Linda.
Alcohol, liquor, booze.
She then wrote a song called I'd Like to Teach the World to Dribble. That's only a mild example of the kind of indignities you can be subjected to once they've got their cameras pointing your way. Here's some that are even more humiliating, starting with a lady who's endeavouring to mime a poignant song of farewell under severe snow conditions.
And now for a look at what we'll have at 10 tonight. Here's News 7's Ann Lindstrom. Thanks, Kim. Coming up tonight at 10.
When a man is tired of London, he's great. No, it'll be all right this time, really. Here we go. This'll do it. This'll do it.
Ken Dane is in the newsroom with a look at what's to come. Kent?
Thank you very much. Well, coming up at 6 o'clock, we're going to take a look at iron workers who went back to work and at those who are still on strike. We'll see how Camelback Road... I'm going to get down here so I can see you.
3, 2, 1. There may be a...
This is where Scenerna mineral water comes from. It's been flowing for 102 years, and would you believe the bloody thing has just stopped?
And then take this train, the TGV, and 1.5 hours later on the Train de Grande Vitesse, France's fast train, you find yourself here in Dijon, the heart of Burgundy. An area where the Pinot Noir grape mingles with the Chardonnay to produce some of the finest wines in the world. So join us as we explore Burgundy country. Wait a minute. This is our train.
Number 2, Sam Hans, an 8-1 chance. Number 9, John Gilpin's at 10-1. Over the page, number 12, Sheer Nectar, 8-1. Welsh Medley, number 14's a 10-1 chance. And the... Oh, my hat's gone! Oh, God! Give me a hat! Oh, they're going to get me a hat! The hat's gone! The hat's gone! The faller there! Watch out, faller!
That's the way the commentator crumbles, but because the weather is something that has quite an exceptional cock-up potential, we're going into the break with some more examples of what it can do, featuring, in order of appearance, the rain, the breeze, and the return of your real old-fashioned pea soup of fog.
Now, there's another thing that pedestrians do on Father's... weißt es?
Na, wissen tue ich's nicht. Aber es ist ja logisch. Was soll dem Harry sonst passieren, wenn er wegen Kopf ins Spital geht? Also einer ohne
Some people they tease one another, take pride in themselves, keeping the other one down. Well, I'm not like that. Some people they hurt one another, they love to see.
Wonderful, isn't it? Well, again, looking ahead to the second edition of 7 National News tonight at 10:35, and we talk at length to Youth, Sport and Recreation Minister Neil Tresize. Would you please shut up, for Christ's sake, I'm on air. Excuse me.
Like this, with joint pain, back pain, stress, if you have trouble getting a good night's sleep, rise above all that with the genuine Will Rest Sleeper. This fleecy...
Right, thank you very much, Kerry. And now to a gentleman that won the Eurovision Song Contest not once, but twice, from Ireland, with his new song called I'm Not in Love. Will you welcome... I forgot his name now.
Lobby would enable us not to be ridden roughshod over by the government. And a powerful lobby basically stems from a membership that supports the board. Like the old farming saying, the secret of a good lay is a firm bottom.
You know what they say, there's many a true word spoken in outtake. We're turning our attention now to the accident-prone world of TV interviews, in particular, those moments when the person being interviewed suddenly deals one from the bottom of the pack. So here's a random sampling from the file marked Awkward Interviewees.
Now, hang on, you know this is the most expensive garage in Lewisham?
Probably.
Does it worry you?
Not really, considering we own it.
Can you tell us the story about how Simon Fraser came to be buried here?
Because you died.
It skidded off a bit and didn't bounce as much as I thought it would do, just skidded off, and I found myself a little late on the shot, so it hit me on the nose.
Whereabouts in the nose?
We would seek to recover that from the Central Electricity Board.
Does it worry you at all, being so close to Sizewell?
Well, it hadn't until you arrived.
Some of the new toilets may already have this kind of thing in it, or...
Some may, but I haven't seen one yet, Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Is your name Kathy?
Yes, it is. My name's Kathy.
An American called Albert K. Bender had started a club to investigate UFOs. I wrote to Bender, and he made us a co-partner in England to myself and, excuse me, won't you? But anyway,
Mike, I know you're very modest about the whole thing, but I also know that you died in a rather heroic act.
I didn't die.
So what can people do to help? Well, they could, first of all, as far as this vehicle is concerned, is look out for a vehicle that may be abandoned in their road somewhere, and we think it was probably somewhere along the A217 towards London, but that's not necessarily the case. And we'd be grateful if they would look for this particular vehicle. It's a silver-green BMW, registration number ART242Y. Isn't it that one there? Oh, sorry.
The unceasing fight against crime continues. Now, it's long been part of television folk wisdom that the one way to ensure things will suddenly hit the skids is to give them too extravagant a build-up, something that gets confirmed by our next covey of calamities, which starts with a wrestling gentleman who extols his forthcoming fight in a style that's probably a trifle overstated.
You come out! You come in action! That's what I know! The type of man you are! You now destroy my work in 4 minutes and get away with it!
The demands of the sport are high. You have to be strong, you have to be flexible, you have to be prepared mentally and physically. They're good gymnasts. They're the top gymnasts in Oklahoma right now. What makes them so
Our reporter Kay Burley has been down to Buckingham Palace, where traditionally they pin the news on the gate. Let's see the crowds.
Well, as you can see, back to Washington, D.C., where I believe that Congressman Ron Coleman is ready to join us. Apparently, the vote has ended. Cynthia?
I'm not Coleman.
If you were an outsider, would you still come to Scarborough for your holidays?
Oh, definitely. You know, God has been very kind to us. Look at this. 2 wonderful bays, a castle, sunshine. Oh, what more do you want? Why go to the Mediterranean? They've nothing more to offer.
Thank you very much.
If you believe that load of bullshit, you believe it.
Ceremonies underway at this hour for the Bob Hope Center for Eye Surgery at Presbyterian Hospital.
Action 4's Scott Wallace is standing by live at the ceremonies with the latest. Scott?
Well, of course, Bob Hope is one of America's favorite entertainers. He's also one of Oklahoma's favorites. And in fact, he's on the stand right now during this dedication ceremony. So let's listen in to see what Mr. Hope has to say.
Thank you very, very much.
In an effort to keep people from falling through the ice, the Coast Guard...
I thought you might like to hear one of the songs from that we thought would make a great single. It's called Welcome Home. The first line.
Roger Whittaker, putting in his bid for the Feet of Clay Award. Well, on now to soap operas.
There's so much to hope for now. I'll tell you all one thing, though. I'm gonna live through this thing. And then I'm gonna go to Hawaii and learn how to surf. Well, I don't know if
Oh, boy. Oh, come to, baby. Come on, baby, come to. Oh, Kelly. Oh. What have you done yourself?
Who is it?
I don't know. They couldn't tell.
Why?
Decomposed. With maggots.
Not bad, though, really.
What century are you living in?
The same century you are living in, my girl. And don't tell me that decency is a thing of the past. It is wrong to sleep with another man's husband. It is...
Yeah. What is it?
Oh. Thought you'd have been at your dinner, huh?
Well, we're not. What do you want?
I just came to see if you... Oh, I didn't... oh.
Yes?
John, give it to me.
It's loaded. No, I'm not
giving. Give me that gun.
Don't let go. No, don't do that. Don't pull on the gun. No.
John! It's not loaded.
It's just a stage he's going through.
Perhaps you've got more success with animals.
Oh, aye.
They have their moments too, mind. Ah, but you can always train them. What happened?
My friend that you can make things better just because...
Hello, Ted.
It's not time for me to be at the station yet, is it, Ted?
I just called him Ted and she called him Ted. His name's Todd, isn't it?
Yeah, my name is Todd, but in the show it's Ted.
Yet again, there is no substitute for lack of rehearsal. And for our next essay in victimology, let's consider something else that registers high on every TV person's stressometer. The variety of ways your train of thought can get derailed. Stand by, then, for an anthology of interruptions, distractions, and intruders.
There, the bee's wax is removed from the honey and kept to make the foundation combs for next year's hives. Any surplus wax, though, is in great demand from no less than the manufacturers of...
Judge Thomas Corrigan is expected to rule on the closure motion sometime next week. And then shortly after the first of the year, the hearing concerning Wood's competency is expected to begin. Tom Monahan's Daily News and Hutchinson Superior Court.
At an institution like the Ontario Science Centre, one expects to see the latest in technology. Ow!
Stan, Director of Sanitation.
How you spell that?
S-C-A-N-T.
All right. Excuse me, sir, but get the away. Thank you.
Well, I think it's a great idea because what they've done is get commerce and industry and the trade unions and local government all together to decide what the problems are and what you do about them. And I think that's the only way you can. There's my alarm clock.
Dave, I'm not kidding. I have mosquitoes up my dress. I'm killing myself.
And I'm getting great material.
Camera's rolling. 3, 2, 1. Anderson. It was the size of a DC-9.
Do you use different criteria in diagnosing hypertension in the elderly?
Well, I used to until the EUFI study came along, the European Working Party on Hypertension in the Elderly, and since then, really, I've stuck to more or less the 160/90 because of...
It says companies that try to avoid the expense of proper hazardous waste dumping may face much greater expense in criminal fines. Bill Shield, News Center 2, Trouble.
When playing darts, the double always falls upon the floor. When I use a public loo, there's no bolt upon the door. When I pull a Christmas cracker... what do you want? I'm trying to make a program.
Richard Digence with yet another bit of bad luck. Now, we've got some more adverts looming up now, so let's move into them by showing a few answers to that frequently asked question, why don't people in television institute some form of anti-cock-up insurance? Well, as you'll see, it's because there'd be just too many ways to lose your no-claim bonus.
A single oak.
You're not bewitched, you're mad.
I'll have the contracts drawn up and we can sign over lunch tomorrow. Flanagan's, do you know it? Good. See you then. We're not rehearsing it. Are we filming it now?
Oder falls es noch vorkommt, dann wird es als eine bedauerliche Form des Wahnsinns, die durch Pflege und Güte zu heilen ist, von den Ärzten behandelt werden.
Al demonio grité con la comedia, quiero despertar en ti.
The message to them and anyone else who may find anything suspicious when they return is call the police immediately. Jeremy Hands, ITN, in Putney. Except this isn't Putney, is it?
That's it for the moment. I'll be back with the news. The news in detail at 7:30.
And now we will lock the... The officers? Yeah. What seems to be a problem here?
You're not on the air, are you?
No. Huh?
I like teasing up there. You're not going to do this to me, are you?
Obviously, as John Elway knows, in this league, with as many teams capable of winning the Super Bowl, at least getting that far, you got to project maybe a half a dozen teams have the horsepower.
Well, it's more or less what they did to our car industry. Anyway, there are very few TV performers who can't tell a horror story about props, the name that's given to any object you're required to handle or drop. In fact, some think all studios should have a government warning that says props can cause outtakes. As for instance...
Using a sash clamp across here, a couple of pieces of wood just to protect it, so as you don't bruise the wood. Oops, they always drop out. You need about 3 pair of hands doing this job. But anyway, just squeeze that in there. Hopefully that will...
Wonderful prizes. It must, first of all, let's see if it opens the Hoover-matic washing machine. No. We go along to our tape recorder. Still no click. I'm waiting for the click. Let's go to the rotisserie. No rotisserie. Down to the 23-inch television set. No. We come to the Waltham watch. Still no click, so it has to be, unless I'm sadly mistaken.
I need a cigarette.
Here, let me do that.
And I asked him by his spirit to come into my heart. Yes, Terry had enjoyed the fun and games, but the very best was when he realized that Jesus had power to forgive sins.
Salad Master has the inverted covers for easy storing, genuine Bakelite handles, and a little policeman on the cover so you'll never burn your food. And these pans, friends, are guaranteed as long as you live. Look at this for abuse. First time that ever happened.
Those old piano lid blues. Well, Having seen so many people starting things they can't finish, let's now look at some who start things they can't even begin. In other words, those instances when a programme goes up the spout right at the outset. An interesting example being the reporter who was introducing a young Australian lady named Leanne Dick.
And in fact, we still have Miss Australia with us in Leanne Cock and Leanne Dick.
Now, News 11 at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Alleged serial killer Henry Lee Lucas says 2 Lubbock lawmen provided him with crime scene.
Good evening. One of the most difficult crimes to detect is that committed by a stuck autocue.
News 4, Oklahoma.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Adams.
Well, Sloan Brown has a... You can see her in the background. She, unfortunately, is on crutches tonight. So. Sloan Brown fell down.
And ABC News Brief brought to you by Michelob Light Beer. Now from Washington, Sandra Van Oker.
Good evening.
We've got Craig in Ottawa to tell us what he's got there. Craig? Good morning, Craig.
Yeah?
What are you going to be doing for us in Ottawa?
We're not on yet, are we?
Yes? We're on.
From News Scene 7, this is News Brief.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, it's a case of perm anyone from 3, and here's the girl who's hoping to strike it lucky. Oh, is she in for something? Her name is Carmel, and she comes from the East Midlands. Come in, Carmel.
It's called getting the show off to a flying stop. Well, I think it's now got late enough to bring on our little group of outtakes labelled love scenes, especially as the first one obviously disregarded that cardinal rule of television drama, never shoot a love scene straight after lunch.
Claire! I get this piece of pineapple stuck right here.
I didn't taste it.
Billy.
Oh, Mary.
There was an article in Cosmo last month about how married couples should use as much variety as possible in their love life. Times, places, clothes.
What's Cosmo?
Cosmopolitan magazine for the woman of today.
Oh, that's where you get all your fancy ideas from, is it?
They're not fancy, they're just interesting. Things are changing for women, you know, Neville, even on Tyneside.
Sorry, I got totally distracted there because Newcastle have just scored a goal.
Well, it doesn't happen all that often, does it? Nor does Newcastle scoring a goal. But we're now getting into our last selection of the day, so as usual, I must say thank you to all the distinguished media persons who allowed us to put their momentary misjudgments on display, and, as is also customary, to mention some of the outtakes we couldn't track down, such as the moment at the Royal Command performance when somebody said to the Queen, "May I see your ticket, please?" The wedding home video where the bride's mother edited the groom out completely. And, of course, that legendary yell of anguish from the leading man in a nude love scene when one of the camera crew was careless with the clapperboard. But the thing about outtakes is that, like Christmases, the best ones are always associated with children, which is why they're the subject of our last batch, starting with this young actor whose task was to sit in his high chair and greet the entry of his father with a big, happy smile.
Sadist. I bring great news, my Geog, Lord of the Universe.
Yes, I was wondering how the grandmother got the children from her son and daughter-in-law.
Okay.
The daughter-in-law left the children before they was a year old. We don't know where she is now.
She's in jail.
Yes, Agro is madly in love with two lovely young ladies here. Little Brooke, who seems to be very in love with Agro too, and Carolyn.
It's wonderful to be back.
Carolyn, if you don't know, was formerly a Wombat reporter a few years ago when even Craig... many years ago. Yes. What brings you back to Australia, Carol?
Basically, we're back visiting a very happy grandma.
Oh, is this the first time Brooke's been to Australia?
She couldn't do